Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Views on the News.
Was the Pope appealing for peace, or was he praying for peace?
And the same applies to the carry-on drag.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what do you have to say about that, guys?
This week's panel is a bit depleted because quite a lot of people are queued up in a pub waiting for the football to start. Any excuse, you know people, eh? Don't you? So anyway, we've still got our stalwarts, which includes Guy from Manchester. Hello, Guy. How the devil are you? Yeah? You okay?
Yeah, well, reasonably.
Bearing up. Good, good. And Tersia from South Africa. How the devil are you?
I'm cold and I did not put on any makeup, so please, could you make me incognito like our guest of last night? Because my vanity is.
You're beautiful without makeup, Tersia.
Absolutely, yes. Who needs makeup? I mean, I don't use makeup, so surely you don't.
No, the colder it gets, the redder my nose gets.
Oh, mine too. Yes.
Yeah,
It's midwinter there, isn't it?
It is, and we've had a cold snap. We haven't seen the sun for more than maybe 5 minutes in at least 10 days.
Whoa,
and we've actually had severe damage, flooding. I don't know if anybody's passed on or been seriously injured, but we've had thousands. The last I heard was 4,000 people displaced, their homes completely washed away.
Oh dear.
And I sent John a video of kite surfers on the river, just about 4 kilometers away from where I stay. And normally that river is just puddles. It literally is just, it's in summer, it's just puddles. Now that river is, I think it must be at least 1 kilometer wide. It's incredible. So we've had damage. I think the Western Cape was declared a disaster area this morning.
So where's God been?
I would say pissing, because maybe that's what we're getting. Does God piss rain? I don't know.
Well, it comes from up there, doesn't it? So
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Enough of this nonsense. Let's hit the news. And there's some, there's been a lot of what you might call exaggerated sympathy for the Palestinians. There's been all these marches every weekend in Western cities, and all this from the river to the sea, free Palestine, all that going on. Well, and of course the original atrocity was on October the 7th, when the Hamas warriors attacked the Israelis. But since then, Israel seems to have outdone them. So, for example, medical teams in Gaza evacuated wounded Palestinians from the hospital, the Al-Ali Baptist Hospital, last Sunday, because the Israeli military issued a warning that they should get out. And then they sent in quadcopter drones firing at civilians, prompting the medical teams to get everybody out of the hospital. Dozens of people were injured, thousands were displaced. So maybe it's not all, unjustified complaints by the Palestinians. Just got a message from David. He wants to join us. This is good.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, it is very difficult, this conflict, not least because there's right on both sides, but also wrong on both sides. I mean, Hamas are both a resistance movement, and they've got something to resist, but they're also influenced and in league with Islamists.
Yes.
So that sort of immediately places them on the wrong side. And they have spent huge quantities of money not on providing shelters for their population, but on providing military tunnels for themselves.
Yes.
And you know, on the Israeli side, their tactics are partly determined by the fact that that place is crowded, and there aren't very many places they can hit without collateral damage, is the phrase.
Yes.
And wherever they get intelligence, and we don't know what quality is, they always claim it's accurate, that there is a Hamas leader or fighter or something. They strike, whether that's in a hospital or in a refugee camp or wherever it is, because their aim is to eliminate Hamas.
Yes.
You can't blame them for wanting to do that, but it's just so desperate. We can just see obviously that fighting is not the answer. They've got to somehow come to some sort of settlement.
Well, last week I reported that there's kickback happening in Gaza against Hamas. At last, there's some of the people are protesting against their government. It's not representative, and it's atrocious. So, but it's not just kickback against Hamas, because there are Jews now who are kicking back against the Israeli army's activities. Take a look at Miriam Margolyes.
Hello, I'm Miriam Margolyes, and I wanted to say something in support of the Jewish Council of Australia. I'm an Australian citizen, I'm 83, and I have never been so ashamed of Israel as I am at this moment. To me, it seems as if Hitler has won. He's changed us, Jews, from being compassionate and caring and do unto others as you would have them do unto you, into this vicious, genocidal, nationalist nation, pursuing and killing women and children. Of course I condemn the Hamas action. Of course I do. But what we are doing, Jewish people, over in Israel, is shocking, embarrassing, and wicked. And I cannot understand why all Jewish people, particularly members of synagogues, do not want immediately to stop what is going on. And in the name of humanity, I call upon all Jews to shout, beg, scream for a ceasefire. It is not anti-Semitic to have a different opinion on the wartime actions now. We have to do, as my mother used to say, the right thing. The right thing is a ceasefire, to stop the killing, certainly to beg and insist on the release of hostages. But there is an opinion about Israel's actions, which it is not anti-Semitic to voice. What Israel is doing is wrong. It is wicked, and, if you want to say this, is very bad for Israel. Please, call on your rabbis, on your communities, on all the people you know. Voice your disgust and detestation of the Israeli actions. Please, you are then doing the right thing and behaving in accordance with Jewish tradition. Thank you.
Well expressed. What a lovely... Yes. David, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
It's good to see everybody.
Yes. It's
Nice to see you.
I am San Francisco.
Yes.
Okay. Not Spain or England, I see.
Not yet.
I just want to say that in this whole war in Palestine, the longer it continues, the less sympathy one can have with the actions of the Israeli armed forces, because it's not a solution. that's what worries me most. It's not a solution. It just escalates, and it's not going to solve anything for anybody, especially not for Israel in the long run. So, but you know, it seems we do live in a world that has gone mad.
It's frozen. Yes, yeah. You've joined in a bit late, David, but I don't know if I can frame this for you. We started out saying that although there's a lot of expression of Palestinian solidarity, and it's starting to get some kickback now from Gaza residents who don't like Hamas, but maybe, you know, there's some justification for it, for the sympathy for Palestine, and that's what Miriam Margolyes was saying, how she's ashamed to be a Jew right now.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think before this war, there's enough honest there should have been enough honest willingness to continue to work towards this two-state solution, which is something that they've been working on for years, and for many years Hamas has rejected. At the same time, we know that the Palestinian people have a right to self-representation and a right to, I guess, statehood or nationhood. And I think it would just be better for that whole area of the world to 15 minutes put away the weapons and let the diplomats do their work. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is,
you know, babies dying on either side of the Gaza border are babies dying. You know, children killed, women killed, for the sake of I don't know what anymore. You know, is just it's enough. It's enough already. You know, it just is enough already. Let's stop this madness. Let's sit down and create a two-state solution, and then let the chips fall where they may. You know, I think this is an intergenerational situation, and I don't know what the future will look like for Israel, Palestine in 100 years from now. But if we're going to do anything now, I think it really needs to be peace, de-escalation, and disarmament.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The thing is, since globalization, it turns out that is not just about commerce and trading. It's also about culture and issues and grievances. All of these things have spilled over. And as you know, we've just had an election in the UK, and quite a lot of our candidates were not fighting for one political party or the other for the benefit of the best for the UK. They were on a Palestine ticket. And I want to show you some clips about that. Take a look at this. It's quite horrifying, the way our election has been Islamified. Is that a word?
Imagine we wake up on the 5th of July, Fajr time, and we hear the news that Shabana Mahmoud's seat has fallen to us. Not to me, to us, to the people of Birmingham, because the people of Birmingham were united under the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And that is the banner that when we go to be judged by the biggest judge of them all, we know we can say to the Lord and be proud about it that we didn't support genocide enablers. We didn't bring genocide enablers into our homes like I see some of our Muslim brothers doing these days. They should be ashamed of themselves. They say they stand with Palestine, then they let hypocrites into their homes. This is the Ummah of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam getting divided to take some pictures so they can go back home to Pakistan or Kashmir in their village to show people pictures. I took a picture with Shabana Mahmood, Jess Phillips. What are they going to get out of that? When they go and feel the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they will find out. But we here today, we have a choice. Everybody is here today because you are on the right side of history.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
I mean, it is a very big concern that elements of the left in this country have succumbed to this kind of politics.
Yeah.
I think they're failing to understand the broad. I personally think the broad history and rights and wrongs on both sides, and by Islamifying the issue, they're falling into the hands of the Islamists, and this is very unhealthy.
Yeah.
The good news is that in Rochdale, where I live, where we had a by-election earlier this year, and George Galloway, who adopts this kind of style of thinking, got elected. He lost his seat in the general election to mainstream Labour. That's good news, I think. So, although there are at least 4, maybe 5 candidates who got elected pretty much on that Islamic platform in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
I think the only solution is that people like us at ground level need to keep on challenging people who express any belief in an almighty supernatural being. And we need to challenge people on that on a constructive conversational basis so that we can get them to think, because the people sitting around that table listening to that speaker need to think, okay, so if Allah is almighty and Muhammad, praise be, whatever, why do we have to fight on his behalf?
Yes.
And those are the types of conversations that we need to have at street level. Where the in Afrikaans we have where the tacky hits the tar. Tacky is a sports shoe, so right there and because the influence that I have in Parliament, the influence in my own Parliament, and the influence that each one of you have where you are voting is actually very limited. And we can speak out, but we need to learn how to engage people about their beliefs in supernatural beings who they claim influence what happens in the real world.
Well, that speaker was warning about when we face the ultimate judge, Allah.
The wrath of Allah.
That's pure mythology. That, and the other thing is that he was associating Islam with one particular political position. That's not helpful. And I mean, he quoted the Shahada, the Islamic statement of faith and belief, which is, just really places him directly as a sort of clerical politician.
Yes, and I think he was expressing a disaffiliation from the Pakistani Muslims, who, in his view, were hypocritically inviting people into their homes and getting photographed with them.
Right.
I think I've got that right.
Those politicians were acting like politicians.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't accept that they were hypocritical. His argument is that a politician that fails to side with the Gaza,
agree with him,
people are enabling war crimes. Well, I think that's simplistic. I think it's much more complicated than that.
Yes,
and so I think that's not helpful.
Yes.
And I don't agree with him.
But that wasn't just one example, I'm afraid. We had another person who was elected on the Islam Palestine ticket, who again, he offers his success, his election, to the Gaza issue. Take a look at this one. Very short.
This is for the people of Gaza.
Yep. Not for Britain at all, not for one political party or another, but just for that single issue that originates thousands of miles away.
John and Guy, what was the voter outcome, or the voter
turnout?
Turnout. That's the word.
59%, I think it was.
That's quite high.
Well, not by our standards.
No. I mean, that is a worry, because it meant that the Labour Party, who won a landslide, actually only got 34% of the vote.
Yeah.
So, and if you then bear in mind that the electorate the turnout was only 60% or just under, so in effect, 20% of the population have voted for the government.
Yeah,
not good enough, really.
That's
flawed. And
What's
we know
that,
that, I said our democracy is flawed.
It is, yeah.
And we know that your democracy is flawed too, David, unfortunately, in a different way.
That's a very nice way to put it.
So yes, we'll have to have your views on what's happened to Trump at some stage.
Well,
I just want to say, did you say that David's country's democracy is fucked or flawed?
Flawed is the phrase.
Flawed, not
it's a
fucked.
family.
Oh.
This is a family show.
I thought democracy in America was fucked, but I'm glad to hear it's just flawed.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the American democracy with experiment with democracy is turning into Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, it's true enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, sticking with the UK's recent election, here's another example. This time it's a woman who got elected.
Deliberately creating humanitarian crisis on top of humanitarian crisis. And not only this, the illegal occupation remains. The forced evictions continue as Israel seizes more and more land. All one, oppression and brutality is the day-to-day reality of Palestinian men, women and children. So we come here again today to stand up for humanity and send a clear message to this incoming government. Not in our name. Not in our name. No more complicity. No more weapons sent to kill and maim. We demand an immediate ceasefire and the restoration of UNRWA funding. Not only this, the ongoing oppression and dispossession of the Palestinian people must end. The illegal settlements program must end. The forced evictions must end. The illegal occupation must end. And yes, there has to be unconditional and immediate recognition of the state of Palestine. This week, I was re-elected by the people of Poplar and Limehouse to be a voice for peace and justice and to stand up for the Palestinian people. Because in East London, we know that none of us are free until all oppressed people all around the world are free. Free, free! Free, free!
No, you weren't. You were elected a member of the UK Parliament. Where did we hear anything about British values and policies for our country? Eh?
But besides that, John, I mean, I'm not British, so I just thought, how absurd is that? It's like me standing to be a member of the municipal council in Worcester, getting elected on the Worcester Municipal Council, and then making speeches about what's happening in Joburg and Gauteng, you know.
No, it's more than that. You would be standing for election for office, but your whole campaign was centered around issues in Uganda or the Congo. Nothing to do with South Africa.
Yes. Further away than Joburg. Yes.
It's almost like it's the Palestine issue has become a proxy for anybody to get support, because it's sort of like a buzzword almost.
Yeah, but it is being used by Islamists to generate anger, and they're doing it successfully, because Muslims do feel, or are being led to believe, that the Gaza war is directed at Muslims, not just Palestinians,
and not against
resisting.
Hamas.
But it's being made into a religious issue.
Yeah.
Yes,
David.
Go ahead, David.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, just hearing these politicians, all I can think of is that politicians speak to their constituencies, and these are their constituencies. So these are the ones who are funding their elections, and these are the ones who are voting for them. So it would seem to me almost antithetical for them to say something like, we need to honor and respect all sides in the matter, because then they wouldn't get elected as politicians. So in a way, they're just acting like the political mainstream of their little quadrant of your country that will vote for people who will say what their electorate are thinking.
Yeah, politicians always want to say what they think their voters will want to hear.
Right. I mean, in the United States, it's the same thing with these religious nuts in Congress. They're all, put the Bibles in the schools and do all this stuff.
But effectively,
I mean, they may believe it too, or they may not believe it, but it certainly it expedites their political need to stay in power by doing this.
But this isn't the job that we want our governments to do, is it?
Right.
I mean, we've got enough problems that are homegrown. We've got a dysfunctional NHS. We've got the prisons are about to spill over. We won't be able to put anyone in jail next week. And we've got the schools that are crumbling because they built them out of aerocrete or some crumbly concrete. We've got, and she's not mentioning that. And yet that's what she's been elected to go and do. Her job will now be looking after Britain and Britons.
Right.
It makes me cross, as you probably noticed.
Yeah.
Just a tad.
Yes, it's probably a little bit too much emphasis on one country, if this is global news, John.
Yes. I'm sorry, but I've got a couple of other short. Do you want to see a couple of other very short videos about? Because I'm quite incensed.
Not about this. Let's have something else.
Okay, you want to move on? Okay, well, I have got other news. Sure. Can I bring America into this? Yes, I can.
Oh.
Because
you're going to take aim on America?
We'll see. I've got something here coming. The Vatican. Do you want to go to the Vatican? There's the Roman Catholics have got a lot going on at the moment because what the Vatican has done is excommunicated its former ambassador to the US because they found him guilty of schism or schism. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
I think it is schism, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Of jism?
Not that. No, whatever that is, I wouldn't know. Anyway, he has been the penalty that he's been excommunicated. That's his penalty.
Well, at least he hasn't been executed, which is another religion might have thought of doing.
Indeed, yes. And the reason that he's been excommunicated, which means that he's formally outside the church and cannot receive or celebrate its sacraments. Ooh, that's going to hurt, isn't it?
So he can't confess, but doesn't that mean he's going to hell? I mean, he can't be buried in consecrated land.
Yeah, he won't be able to have those delicious little wafers. And the reason that he's got this punishment is because of his refusal to recognize and submit to the Supreme Pontiff, and because he rejected communion with the members of the church subject to him, and because he rejected the legitimacy and magisterial authority of the Second Vatican Council.
Oh, and we do know that those kind of schisms can have severe consequences. Just look at Luther and the Protestant movement. I mean, I absolutely agree. The Catholic Church 100% did the right thing. In fact, they should take a serious look at this guy, and he should not be allowed near any wafers. Because
I mean, do we know actually what he's saying? I mean, has he rejected Catholicism or God belief, or is he just nitpicking about one little theological point or another?
Yeah, the latter. He's been a firebrand conservative and an ardent critic of Pope Francis.
All right, well, he'll have to join the old Catholics or whatever they're called. You know, the pre-Vatican I Catholics.
Yeah,
there's several factions.
I'm still waiting to hear what the decided criteria for miracles is that the Catholic Church.
That hasn't. Listen, this takes years to come about.
I'm tenterhooks. I can't wait to hear what the miracle criteria are.
I've only seen one miracle in my lifetime.
Yeah?
That was my Uncle Saul picking up the check after dinner. He never did that before. It was the only miracle.
Yeah, okay. Were you a beneficiary of that?
What's that?
Were you a beneficiary?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Anyway,
never mind. Move on. I'm sorry.
To answer Tersia's wish to find out the actual criteria for the how to define miracles, to give you some idea of how slow the process is. Back in 2021, Pope Francis called a synod, and it's on. It's called the Instrumentum Laboris, or working document. And the initial plan is for the promotion of dialogue, nothing more than dialogue, in the church, beginning with months of listening at the parish and diocesan levels about issues like LGBTQ acceptance, combating sexual abuse, fighting poverty and violence, and last but not least, women's roles in the church. So he started that in 2021. The next round is scheduled for October, from October the 4th to October the 27th this year in Rome. And that's the one they're going to focus on female leadership and inclusion of women. So don't hold your breath.
And if women are included, that will be a miracle.
Yeah, it probably will. Yes.
Well, I mean, in many of the Western countries, the Catholic Church is dying on its feet because nobody wants to be a priest, and you know, the lay people who are trying to keep the show on the road include women.
Yes.
So you know, they'd be very smart to allow women to become priests if they want to survive.
Yes, they would. Yeah.
Maybe I should join the Catholic Church. I mean, I could be the sick. I could be Mother Tersia. You know, maybe I can do something. Maybe I should try that.
Well, you've got what they need. You're a woman. That's probably the only criteria.
And you're a lovely mother as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but watch out. You're a little too outspoken for the Catholic Church, I think. You might wind up getting excommunicated.
It depends.
You'd have to engage in penance at great length to keep your mouth zipped.
Well, unless I'm outspoken about how people should suffer for their Lord Jesus Christ, you know. So I just have to change my tune a little bit.
Don't forget what happened to this former ambassador to the US of A, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, who got excommunicated because he refused to submit to the Supreme Pontiff. That could happen to you.
Well, fortunately, I live in a wine country, so I can get my own wine. I'm not too particular about the wafers.
I think that, Tersia, if you joined the Catholic Church, you'd be running that thing within 6 months. You'd have a pointy hat on. You'd be right in the middle of Rome. You'd be telling you do this, you do that. I don't want to hear it.
Is that a challenge?
Well, I've got to tell you that she's got a scented candle already.
Oh, yes, it's not burning. I didn't light it yet. There we go. I've got mine.
See, I kid you not. Anyway, I'm going to ruin the mood again, I'm afraid, because going to Australia, we do come back to the US in a minute, but going to Australia, there's a religious group called the Saints, and they meet outside of Brisbane in a place called Toowoomba. And
I've been there.
Have you? Interesting. Yes. There's a case going on at the moment featuring a group of 6 men and 8 women, including the parents of a girl aged 8, who they are accused of killing because they withdrew her insulin for 6 days and she died of diabetes. They say they believed that God would heal. That's their plea. They've refused to enter pleas to murder or manslaughter.
Well, that's great news, because they will be. I mean, I think they should be convicted of murder, then, shouldn't they?
Child abuse
charges. Probably be manslaughter.
Yeah.
The case that I'm currently involved in, I'm the defendant. No, I'm the I'm the
respondent.
One.
Respondent.
Yes.
I'm applicant.
The one, applicant. I think I'm the applicant. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not nearly as serious. Nobody's died. Nobody's been physically injured. But I was thinking about this. The person who's slandering me and my husband and his business and my business is doing it on the grounds that he is fighting for the name of God. And he has so far not appeared in court once. So it's been postponed to the 10th of September. And I can't wait to hear the magistrate's response when he says, no, this person, I'm making these claims because she's an atheist. I really, so it's the similarity that I see is these people are basing their actions on their religious beliefs. Yeah. The person who's slandering and damaging me and threatening me with physical harm is also basing his actions on religious beliefs. And even religious magistrates and judges won't take that as a defense. But
good. Oh, she's gone. Was it something I said? I don't know.
It might be load sharing or something.
Yeah, probably. So
I mean, I was speaking to someone in Ukraine the other day, and they're only getting 2 or 3 hours of electricity a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Russians have pulverized their generating station.
Yeah, exactly.
David,
Bastards.
Yes.
on the subject of being authorized or instructed by God to carry out your actions, like these people that Tersia has been telling us about. Hello, welcome back. Then in your country,
Sorry
David.
about that, guys. I was just receiving a call from
Okay.
one
Well,
of my family members. They're just leaving from the airport now.
Right. Okay. So we'll let you go in a few minutes. So, but in the US of A, you've got somebody who has said that only the Lord Almighty could convince him to end his bid for re-election. Who do you think I mean?
Is it Trump?
No.
No, it's Biden. Yeah.
Oh, is it Biden? Oh, Biden. But
Yeah.
I mean, Trump issued a statement after he was shot,
yes,
in which he made reference to faith.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So he's kind of positioning himself as, suffering for the faith.
Yeah. Yes. So in my view, and,
Yeah.
and I think I'll use Tersia's word, America's fucked.
No, it is. I mean, it is an awful thing to happen. It shouldn't happen in any society at all, ever. Anyway, even I wouldn't want that on my worst enemy.
No.
But the reality is that with his response, like that, it really separates him and makes him look tough and clear and resisting evil, as opposed to Biden's bumbling around. And it's really bad news. I think the Democrats must find a new credible candidate.
I agree. Yes. Get on with it, David.
Yeah. Well, first of all, and I posted this on social media. If we're going to beat Trump, it has to be by the ballot and not the bullet.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's we don't political assassination and political violence under any circumstance should not be condoned and not be considered, be normalized. Just like we were disgusted by the insurrection on January 6th, we should be equally revolted on the attempt on Trump's life yesterday, because innocent bystanders were killed as well. But just in general, we've had enough of that. I mean, my personal favorite politician was Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who was killed in 1968, and I've always felt that since about that time we took a left turn, because frankly, had he not been assassinated, there would not have been a Nixon administration, because Bobby would have won, and it would have been a different world we would be living in. So the bullet does change outcome of not only an election, but of history itself.
Yeah. You mean you took a right turn, I think.
Yeah, they took a right turn.
A wrong turn.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think both candidates, for me, I mean, I would never vote for Trump anyway. Even if Biden is as incapacitated as the media says he is, which I don't even know if I believe the media here.
Yeah.
If I had to choose who should run the United States for the next 4 years, Trump and his nativist fascist minions, or Biden and his team who actually respect the rule of law. Then a vote for Biden is a vote for the continuation of rule of law.
Yeah, one is
at minimum.
One is a vote for democracy, and the other is a vote for a potential dictator.
Yes, exactly.
It's clear as day.
I mean, you had the Hungarian prime minister meet with Putin a couple of weeks ago. Orban. And then just last week, Orban goes to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump.
Yeah.
What do you think? They're just talking about the price of strudel, in Budapest? No, of course not. They're planning very significant ways to ally and create dictatorships.
Absolutely. Well, on that rather sad note, and nothing to do with the fact that there's a football match about to start.
Oh, no, go.
Well, I just need to say, listen, I am the Pope. I am the would-be Pope. And therefore, I will now just say, every single non-believer, atheist, agnostic should proclaim that belief in supernatural beings is harmful. And the fact that the statistics shows us that the number of nuns is growing across the world, it doesn't help us any if the nuns are sitting on our asses and just looking at the world go by. We have to get active and make our voices heard, because the nuns in America have not done enough to keep the religious right from proclaiming Trump as their Jesus. So that is my last word as the Pope of Views on the News.
Well, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, heavenly sister.
Yes, thank you. But and thank you for that weird picture you've just put in my mind of nuns in wimpoles sitting on their asses, and I don't know.
May the best team win, John.
Okay.
And Guy. David,
may England win, whether it's the best team or not. Is my sentiment.
All right, I'll go for that. I'll go with my buddies.
Thank you very much. You've been wonderful.
Right, see everybody next week. Bye-bye.
Say goodbye.
Was the Pope appealing for peace, or was he praying for peace?
And the same applies to the carry-on drag.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what do you have to say about that, guys?